Stay tuned for urban legends to ghostly tales of the paranormal, because now it's time for
Message on the Wall.
This being another installment of Haunted Cemeteries, this is Haunted Cemeteries in New York. We begin in Queens at the Lutheran All Faiths Cemetery on Metropolitan Avenue, with a boundary of a railed fence and set out with an adornment of weeping angels, obelisks, and mausoleums. In one point of the cemetery is a grave dating back to 1905, when a passenger ship, the General Slocum, taking excursions round New York, caught fire. It's estimated that 1,021 people, including 2 of the 30 crew members, died that day, leaving 321 survivors. 61 of those that went unidentified are buried alongside the memorial, with a picture of the blazing ship etched into the stone. In July 1884, the New York Times printed a very strange story. Several people had evidently seen the ghost of a man brandishing a knife and calling out, "Ho, ho!" It scared so many that they refused to go into the fields to work, as they believed the ghost was haunting both Mount Olivet Cemetery and the Lutheran. The way to get rid of a ghost causing trouble was evidently the same way to get rid of a living person, and that was to either arrest or shoot them. Around 50 townsmen made up posses, and for several nights they went out hunting the naked ghost. Although they claimed to see the phantom, they couldn't seem to get close to it, no matter how fast they ran. They chased the ghost into the Lutheran cemetery before they gave up and went home. A woman later came forward claiming the ghost was that of her late dead husband. She had married Mike Kelly just after they arrived to the States from Templemore in Ireland. 1 week later he committed suicide. It was when she remarried that Mike Kelly began to haunt the couple, who said they had moved several times to try and get away from him. Though Kelly's ghost has not been seen at the Lutheran All Saints Cemetery since that time, security staff on night duty have reported sightings of native Indians running around. And there is also the statue of a woman holding a baby that is said to come to life at night. Over at Mount Olivet Cemetery on Grand Avenue, dating back to 1850 and still in operation, the parkland setting is bordered by a fence of green railings. Apart from the ghost brandishing a knife that terrified so many residents in 1884, the place is still reputed to be haunted. And staying in Queens, we move on to the Macpelah Cemetery that was abandoned back in the 1980s. Its most famous resident, and one that brings late-night visitors to the place, especially at Halloween, is Harry Houdini. Not because it's the time when the veil between that of the living and dead is said to be at its thinnest, but the great showman, who always had a love for the mystique, died on October the 31st, 1926. The Macpelah Cemetery sits between the New Union Field Cemetery and the Hungarian Cemetery, with Mount Carmel across the way on Cypress Hills Street. Moving across to New York's Rochester, you will find Mount Hope Cemetery. There is a gated entrance to the road running through the cemetery on Elmwood Avenue that is bordered by a railed fence. The main entrance that is on Mount Hope Avenue can be quite heavy with traffic at times, with increased deaths due to a cholera epidemic in the 1800s. Mount Hope Cemetery was formed to take the increasing amount of deceased that were taken by the ravaging disease. Mount Hope consists of 197 acres of land that even before the first burials had taken place, the native Indians believed it to be haunted. One area, called the Devil's Bowl, is where satanic rites are said to have been performed, with rituals that summoned up evil spirits and even demons that are said to still wander the grounds. Attracting ghost hunters, there have been photographs taken containing unexplained things, as well as EVPs having been got. At Albany, situated between St Agnes Cemetery and Beth Emeth Cemetery, is Albany Rural Cemetery, with a set of roads running through what is a parkland setting. The gated entrance to this final resting place of the 21st President, Chester A. Arthur, can be found off Menand Road. The cemetery also organises walking tours, giving an account of the history while pointing out some of the splendid artwork that makes up its memorial stones. In 2002 there was a number of reinterments from the Albany poorhouse section when Sage Colleges was built. This may also have included burials from the orphanage, and unclaimed bodies have also been interred that have been found in the Hudson River. And lastly, going on to Schenactady, some of the graves at Vale Cemetery were those interred from the old cemetery that was once at the intersection of Green and Front Streets, where now woodlat buildings are erected. Even the fort that once stood there is gone, with just a small circular park to show for it. The main entrance to Vale Cemetery is on State Road. With a parkland setting, this is still a working cemetery that organises tours of the grounds, including Mysteries of the Vale. The cemetery has had a reputation of being haunted way back, with statues that are supposed to bleed. Some of the stones are leaning a little, while others are broken due to vandalism. And those are a few haunted cemeteries in the boroughs of New York. You have been listening to Message on the Wall, brought to you in association with Paranormal Parodies. You can find Paranormal Parodies at paranormal-parodies.com.